Welcome to the Doin Alright podcast presented by Prize Picks.
Top of the morning. And we are back. Appreciate y'all for being here on this episode of the Solo Dolo edition of the Doin Alright podcast. Couple things we're going to be doing here today. Later on, I kind of want to go down some matchups, for the Saints joint practice. The Saints joint practice is going to be very important, okay? And I just kind of want to make sure that we're prepared for what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's going to be the last practice, man. We got the practice that we had today. Y'all can go watch the live stream that we did on Crown Globe Media, the after action live stream, just to kind of break down what happened today at practice. But tomorrow is going to be a joint practice versus the New Orleans Saints, and that is going to be 2 p.m. at 2 p.m. Pacific time. So that means you're going to be getting it at 4 Central, okay? So y'all just be on the lookout for that and set your schedules accordingly there, okay? So, but we're going to break that down a little bit just to make sure everybody's on the same page with it. But one thing that I really wanted to touch on first, I really wanted to lean into, is that the Cowboys seem to have a type on defense. And I don't want to make the mistake of assuming something. You never do the right thing assuming. Assuming is never a great thing. But it seems like when you look at how the Joneses or the Dallas Cowboys, however you want to call it, right? When you look at the Dallas Cowboys and you kind of see the type of veteran that they're acquiring, it seems like they're doubling and tripling down on the leadership dude. I wonder why specifically that's the kind of guy. Because you can get anybody to come up in here and do anything. You can get anybody to come up in here and do anything. But I just wonder, was leadership at such, what's the opposite of such a premium, right? Like, were we so deprived of leadership that the only correct move is for the Cowboys to overcorrect and swerve into the opposite direction of leadership by everybody we sign got to be a leader? I wonder if that's the case. Like, and here's there's so much to talk about right now, but it's like the Cowboys, we like to talk about depth or whatever. The Cowboys, how they normally handle depth is they just pull some dude that's been on the roster for a while, and they consider that guy to be depth guy. Like, what they'll do is they'll like some dude that's in the fourth year of their rookie deal that they drafted years ago or something. If that dude didn't work out and end up being a starter, that'll just be the dude that's just designated as your depth guy. That's what the Cowboys do. For one, it seems like the Cowboys purposefully picked depth dudes and selected people to be depth guys. Your free agents are your depth guys. So if you look at defensive tackle, right? Tito Ogbonna, Jonathan Bullard, they were selected to be your depth guys. James Houston was brought here to be a depth guy last year. Isaiah Land, Tyrus Wheat, they're fighting to be depth guys. But now Von Miller is a depth guy for your pass rush room. D. Winters, as is currently constructed, looks like a depth guy. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. P.J. Locke was brought here to be a depth guy, right? Amir Speed was brought here to be a depth guy. And this is the defensive side of the unit where, real fast with one coaching change, Flus, the defense went to pure shit. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it's important that the Cowboys just grab the wheel and swerve in the other direction just to make sure that they got everything locked in from the depth side on the outside. Because, man, like Stephen Jones, he'll come to the podium and say something goofy like, "Hey, man, Semi Fehoko got to step up." When in real life, man, you just got to get somebody from the outside to come in and step up and be that. Like Marquez Valdez-Scantling this year is an example of that. Right now, the proper order of operation is happening. Like Marquez Valdez-Scantling was brought here to be a depth guy, and the young dude's kicking his ass right now. Like, that's what's supposed to be happening, which is cool, which is a good thing. We ain't gonna even fight about that. But they're depth guys that were brought in from the outside, and they all just happen to be leader dudes. They all happen to be dudes that'll fit the leadership committee perfectly. Currently on defense, the leadership committee is Jalen Thompson, Rashawn Gary, Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark. That's your current leadership committee. Overshown not even on it. People hate me making that point, but damn, it's real life. What you want me to say? I can't imagine, just based on what I've heard about Von Miller, based on what other players around the league say about Von Miller, based on what Von Miller just said about himself, what Shotty mentioned to you earlier. Von Miller is another dude that's going to step in and be leader guy. We have this game that we play on my channel. It's called, it ain't got a name, but it's basically Come On Lil Bro versus He Got Weed, He Got Weed. Okay? And the rules of the game is basically built to explain the relationship dynamics between veteran players that are competing at the same spot versus young players, okay? And there's one option that those veteran players can have. They can put their arms around the young player and be like, come on, little bro, let me show you how to do this. Let me show you what the business is, right? They could do that. But then there's the other side where you dirty Mac on the young player and you go and tell coach, hey, coach, the young player can't take my job because he got weed, he got weed. You know what I'm saying? It's a funny little game that we play over there on the Vash Lombardi page. Y'all go check it out, Vash Lombardi on YouTube. It's a funny game that we play to have fun, but I do think it's real life. These veteran players aren't required to be good teammates to these young guys. They can be out for themselves and compete and take somebody's job, and we'll totally have to understand. But it is pretty cool when you get some dudes that put their arms around the young dudes, and they can be bridge players and great teachers and on-field coaches for these young guys. You feel me? And that's where Von Miller enters this conversation, bro. If you listen to Caleb Downs talk, he always talks about how PJ Locke is breaking bread with him and sharing wisdom with him. You know what I mean? They all talk about Jalen Thompson. They all talk about Kenny Clark, how he stepped right in quickly and became a leader of this team. How Rashawn Gary came in, he's a leader for the outside linebacker guys. They all look at Quinnen with big eyes. They all look at Quinnen with big eyes saying, please, Quinnen, lead us. Or Kobe Durant is a leader to the other corners in the room. And I just think that's just something the Cowboys ain't had in a long, long time. And I think it's worth talking about. It's worth it because, yeah, Malachi Lawrence could get in the ring and whoop a veteran and not take any extra lessons from it, and it'll be cool. Like we wouldn't even have nothing to fight about. All right, Malachi, just beat the dude that's next to you on the depth chart. We won't have nothing to say. I don't know exactly what the actual dynamics are. Between Malachi Lawrence and the rest of the veterans in the edge room, but I do know one thing for sure: Von Miller is a veteran type character in that room, and he's gonna put his arms around Malachi Lawrence, and he's gonna help Malachi Lawrence. So now, Malachi Lawrence, if he fails, you get a dude that's a veteran in this league, that's had multiple sacks, that's been everywhere that you trying to be, just in case Malachi is not ready. And the good thing about it is, the second that Malachi seems like he's ready, it's not going to hurt you to bump Von Miller down the roster a little bit. Also, while all this is going on, Von Miller is working as a pass rusher for you, but the good news is Von Miller is actively training Malachi Lawrence to take his job. That's the cold shit. Now, see, ain't nobody finna take Quinnen Williams' job. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody finna take Quinnen Williams' job. But I think PJ Locke is in a similar situation too. PJ Locke knows that he's not going to be the guy on this defense, but he's going to show up and he's going to do his job, and he's going to hit Caleb Downs or any other young player with all the positive lessons that he could possibly give those guys. And he's basically grooming him to take his job. Kobe Durant is on a 1-year deal. Give them dudes all that game. Give that dude all them lessons. How important is it for Camden Brown to be in the same wide receiver room with, first of all, the big guys that he's in the room with, but Marquez Valdez-Scantling is there to train people to take his job. And that's the cool thing about the Cowboys being proactive about adding outside dude on this team, not to be a starter, but to build around them. So now the coaches got their leadership style. The dude at the top of the depth charts got their leadership style. But when the top of the depth chart dudes can't do it, you even got dudes interwoven under, like in the second and third teams that can also help as well. That's some cool shit. But we'll be right back.
This episode is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks has an offer for new users. Play your first lineup of $5 or more, and if that lineup wins, you'll get $150 in bonus lineups. Just use the code HMA when you sign up. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app, and it's really easy to use. For player picks, choose more or less on a few stats and build your lineup. You can also make team picks by choosing the winner, spread, or total on a game or fight. Prize Picks is available in most states, including Texas, California, and Florida. You can also follow me on the app at Crown Media. Check out my latest lineups and tail my picks with just one click. All right, let me show you the lineup I put together today. In the MLB, let's start off in Philadelphia with pitcher Zach Wheeler. We're going to go more than 4.5 strikeouts against the Miami Marlins. And then in Chicago, the Crosstown Classic. Let's go with Kevin Gausman, less than 6 strikeouts against the Chicago White Sox. Again, that's Prize Picks. Use our code HMA at sign up to win $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. Good luck tonight.
All right, y'all, let's play a little game here. Got my notes pulled up. Not even a game for real. But what I want to do is I want to talk about some of the matchups that the Cowboys have to deal with. They have this joint practice versus the New Orleans Saints. They're going to fly in. Now, Kellen doing some interesting shit over there because they just had a joint practice versus Jacksonville. They're going to have a joint practice versus the Cowboys. And then they're going to fly out to L.A. or drive out to L.A. or whatever. And they're going to have a joint practice with the Rams. So Kellen them loading up on some work, man. So salute to those guys. They finna be tired as hell by the end of this shit. But we love joint practices. Joint practices that's the preseason games for your starters. That's your starters preseason games, which is cool, which is fun. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position groups I'm gonna break down. And I'm going to talk about the Saints players that they're going to be going up against, and basically what I would like that result to be. And if I want to put a little stank on it, put a little funk on it, I can compare it to like maybe the Rams joint practice and maybe do a little bit of something there. So that should be cool. That'll be cool. All right, let's run this for the cardio, ladies and gentlemen. So for cornerbacks, I got the Dallas Cowboys cornerbacks versus Chris Olave and rookie Bryce Lance. Now, mind you, it's going to be a bunch of dudes on this depth chart that I just ain't got no business naming. I ain't got no time. I ain't got no. There's no point in naming some of these cats because it is what it is. Forget them. You know what I'm saying? You don't need me to come in here. Hold on, let me run to the depth chart real fast. You don't need me to come in here and give you a full-blown breakdown on wide receiver Trey Palmer and Bob Means. Chet, y'all think I need to tell y'all about Bob Means and what he's gonna do for it to the wide receiver position for the Saints? Nah, man, we ain't gotta do all that. Interesting shit enough though. Jalen Moreno Cropper plays for the Saints. That's fascinating. I guess if you are a former Cowboy, you either go to the Saints and play with Kelvin, you go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, you play with Mike McCarthy. There's some interesting stuff going on there. Or if you like Dante Fowler or something, you go to like the Seahawks and you go play with Aiden Dirty or whatever. So these Cowboy ties, they really matter. So we just talked about wide receivers. Jordan Tyson is going to miss 2 months with a hamstring. He's not going to be around. Chris Olave is one of their big. One of their big dogs. He make a little bit of money to be wide receiver one for the Saints over there. And I don't think he's getting enough respect, but he's definitely a wide receiver that's gonna pose a little bit of a threat to the wide receiver, to the DBs, the cornerbacks for our team. But this is the best part about iron sharpening iron. Chris Olave is a dangerous wide receiver. You go against CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens every day. You just saw Devontae Smith and Puka Nacua last week. this should be some good ass reps versus a good player, but these are still good ass reps. So if you Savon Ravel, Kobe Durant, Deron Bland, I want to see some good things out of you when you go up against one of these guys here. Bryce Lance is a rookie, but he runs fast, like he's a deep ball threat type rookie or whatever. I think he's gonna step up and play in place of Jordan Tyson while he's out. There's another player that's hurt, Mason Tipton. I don't know who the hell Mason Tipton is, but he's hurt right now. They got another wide receiver, Devon Vell. See, Chad, that's why I only named Chris Olave and Bryce Lance, Trey Lance's little brother. That's the only reason I named those guys. We ain't got no business, jumping off the porch even talking about those guys. I do think the Rams practice will be tougher in this way, but we'll see. Next up, I got the Cowboys. The Cowboys edge players, the Cowboys outside linebackers, pass rushers versus offensive tackle Kelvin Banks and Talise Fuaga. Now, Chet, these are two tackles that I loved in the draft process, and funny enough, I was out there, making these tweets or whatever, vouching for Kelvin Banks being a little better than Will Anderson. Will Anderson is a passer. Will Campbell from LSU. He plays for the Patriots now. I believe Kelvin Banks is having a much better start to his life than Will Campbell is right now. But Kelvin Banks he's the left tackle, so he goes against Donovan Ezeraku. We'll see what that matchup looks like. And Talise Fuaga, who's like big power guy, he's gonna go against Rashawn Gary, who's also a power guy. So it's gonna be a fascinating. Some fascinating matchups up in there. So we're gonna see what that looks like. As far as backup tackles, who cares? I mean, Austin Richards plays tackle for the Saints right now, but I don't think that's something that we need to get into too much. Everybody else is just some guys. So I think the bottom of our roster should dominate the bottom of theirs, but these are the front conversations. Now, I do think Kelvin Banks and Talise Fuaga as tackles are better than the Rams tackles that we just saw. So you're going to see a little bit of an upgrade in competition with these Saints guys than you saw versus the Rams there. But that's all good. As far as the interior goes, we're still on defense right now, right? As far as the interior goes, the defensive tackles, I just think Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark just going to beat the shit out of everybody. I can't help but to feel that our interior guys are just going to end up smoking the hell out of the other team's interior guys. Like, and look, Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz, like, they can play. Like, those dudes can play. And I remember those dudes in draft land, and they're, quality interior players for the Saints or whatever. But, dog, you got Quinnen and Kenny Clark. And Quinnen and Kenny Clark, we're talking about iron sharpening iron. They see the Cowboys interior every single day. I will say, I do think the Saints offensive line as a whole is a little better than the Rams offensive line, but you still got your guys, and I like my guys against everybody else's guys. We talked about corners, edges, defense tackles. Cool. They got Tyler Shuck throwing the football out there. Spencer Rattler's going to be the second guy. Zach Wilson's going to be the third guy. So they all are like big arm dudes. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints went out there and just tried to throw the ball all over the yard. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bunch of deep down the field passes. Like I said, they got a couple wide receivers. They can get downfield a little bit, and all the quarterbacks got big arms. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried the Cowboys deep. So I need the Cowboys safeties to be locked in. I need the Cowboys corners to be locked in. And it'll be really interesting to see how the Cowboys can handle speed downfield. Now, the Saints run a 3-4. They run that same they don't run 3-4 like we run 3-4, but they do got a little bit of 3-4 till they get down or whatever. So you'll see them kind of do things the same way that we do in clear passing downs. It'll be some nickel type packages or whatever. If they decide to do run segments, then you'll see a true 3-4. You'll see a true 3-4 there. But the next matchup is the Cowboys offensive tackles. Now, this is a big one here. And I think this matchup for the Saints is a little tougher than it was the Rams there. The Rams had Byron Young and Josiah Stewart. Now, I like Josiah Stewart. He's a good player, but he ain't Myles Garrett. If Myles Garrett would have played, this would be the toughest test that the Cowboys have to deal with as far as opposing pass rushers. But Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele going to have their hands full with Carl Granderson and Chase Young. And y'all want to know why I know this? Because the Cowboys just played the Saints 2 years ago. That was when Zimmer was the defense coordinator, and the Saints came out there and they beat the shit out you, and they didn't win another game that season or some crazy shit like that. But Carl Granderson and Chase Young as a tandem, in my personal opinion, I think they're a little better. They're a little better than Josiah Stewart and Byron Young. Both groups are good, but I do think that you're going to get a real test for your offensive tackles with these guys here. So that'll be fun to keep up with. The rest of the Saints pass rushers, I mean, you got, they got Cameron Jordan. Damn, so Cameron Jordan coming off the bench for them? That's fascinating. Cam Jordan coming off the bench for them. Chris Rumph, I remember Chris Rumph. I know him. Tyree Wilson, the ex first round pick for the Raiders. He's a Saint now. And Anthony Jennings, I believe he was a pass rusher. Came out of Alabama. He was with the Patriots. So you got you a pretty deep group of pass rushers that you need to keep your eyes on there. So this should be a really good test for Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele. They need all these reps. I would love it if Tyler Guyton just got a chance to rush against, to play against all these dudes. And this is going to be in Oxnard. See, at the Rams facility, they didn't allow us to record, but Oxnard in Jerry's house is probably going to be a bunch of phones and cameras out. So we'll be able to get a lot of this footage. So stand tight. Then you have it'll be a fun matchup for us, I would say. You got the Cowboys wide receivers versus Kool-Aid, JaQuincy McKinstry, and Quincy Riley. Quincy Riley is a young player. He was a rookie last year, drafted in the 4th round. I believe he was out of Louisville, if I'm not mistaken, but I was a big fan of his. Safeties, they got Julian Blackman and Justin Reed. Man, look, it's cool, bro. I trust Dak, CeeDee, and GP versus all those guys, man. I trust them dudes over anybody else in the league, bro, and I don't care about nothing. You feel me? I want to see the Cowboys go out there. I want to see them run the ball a little bit. They got some big boys up front. Devon Gotcha. Nathan Shepard, I know the name. Vernon Broughton, he was around. Vernon Broughton was Texas defensive tackle. Got drafted last year. So what I want to do, and then they got Big Country John Ridgeway. Ladies and gentlemen, we lived in so much lack. Y'all remember we lived in so much lack that we was out here hurting. We was out here hurting about Big John Ridgeway. They also got Kristen Miller. They drafted him in the 2nd round this year. So it's a pretty decent group of defensive tackles that the Saints going to roll out there. I really want to see the Cowboys have a good day pushing those dudes around. Now, the guys I just mentioned, that's Big Tyler and BB territory. I don't give a damn how much I know them or how nice they was when I watched them. This is push your ass around territory. So I would love to see the Cowboys put together a good day just smoking the hell out of them. But yeah, man, those are your matchups, man. I want to see the Cowboys run defense really shut down the run there. They got Travis Etienne. I'm not finna call him Etienne. I knew him when his name was Etienne. His mama, when I met her, she told me it was Etienne. I'm gonna call him Etienne. Alvin Kamara allegedly is the backup running back. Devin Neal is the 3rd guy. Kendre Miller is the 4th guy. We could probably get one of these guys. Audric Estime. They got Audric Estime here too. Oh man, they got a bunch of running backs in New Orleans. Oh man, we need to call about one of them people, but anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I want to see the Cowboys be a lot more physical in the run game, pushing around the D tackles or whatever, getting blocks on the 2nd level, and actually establishing a run and getting to those more advanced passing plays a little bit earlier than they did last time. As far as the defense go, if you could do it to the Rams defense, if you could do it to the Rams offense, pardon me, then you could do it to the Saints offense. I'll be covering everything tomorrow, man. Y'all be sure to tap in with me. I love y'all to pieces, man. We're gonna go live again tomorrow with the after actions report. Y'all be sure that you're tapped in here, and we'll finally get a day of pads where we get to hit each other. So I'll actually be tweeting out some videos. So y'all be sure to follow me at Vash Lombardi. Y'all be sure to go to crownglowmedia.com. That's where you can find all the work that we post on a daily, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on the weekend. Y'all be sure that y'all tap into that. Go and get you some merch, man. Appreciate you for supporting us, and go watch some of the other shows that we have in our Crown Glow Media catalog. Okay, love y'all to pieces, man. I'm Vash Lombardi. Brian is Crown Glow Media on Twitter, but he getting his eyes fixed right now, so I hope that goes well for him. Y'all hold it down until next time. I love y'all to pieces. Crown.